What up, Twitch? It's your boy P at ASU here on a Monday night, and you know that when Monday nights hit, so does some Dungeons and Dragons. So get your dice out and prepare your minds for air horns and campaigns. I'm very excited because first off, we're getting to continue a campaign that was built by PS Zombie. He's our DM, and he is going to be taking us through his Unbeaten Path campaign, which was very well done. He's put a lot of work and effort into it, so I'm very excited to see where that goes from here. And then another reason is I don't have to DM, so it's on him. So I'm excited, though. It should be a lot of fun, and we're happy to have you here. Just some reminders that you can follow us on our social media. Our Discord server should still be hopping with some memes following this campaign as well. So check that out, as well as our merch store where you can find cool Poo-Too merch, like what I'm wearing here. And I think that's it for the reminders. We'll be doing another Unbeaten Path next Monday. And then after that, we'll be going back to 2 campaigns a week. So be on the lookout for that. That's enough for me. PS Zombie, how you feeling tonight, man? Good.
I'm going to throw some background music on, but y'all are going to have to tell me if it's too loud or not. So,
Okay.
Sorry to force you to peek behind the curtain here, viewers. But
I like the setup on the stream with the portraits and everything. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah,
put some work into it. I had a nice background, but it's a if you watch it for a little bit, it's supposed to be a background of a path, but I think it's overloading the PC a little bit, so I may not use it. But that's you guys saw it briefly.
Nice.
Ooh, and that's some
Like
good
the
audio
ambience.
right there. Yeah.
is that too loud?
A little bit.
I
I
think
dial
you
it
probably
back
still hear.
just a little bit.
I want it still hearable though, because I liked the feeling that it gave me in my head. The bubbles. It's very satisfying.
I like that feeling.
Got some ASMR from that. So
All right,
I'm
so
not getting
right at the top here, for the benefit of the players, the DM, and the viewers, we're going to attempt some sort of recap. Hopefully do like a brief recap of everything that's gone on, a more specific recap of the things that have happened right before this part of the campaign, and hopefully we can get that sorted. So I'll start at the very beginning. Our players, our adventurers, were each hired by members of the Kingdom of Moradin, which was undergoing a mysterious grand building project, which no member building it knew the full story of what it was. They required artificers, they required people who could acquire goods, they needed religious figures to bless things. Those are kind of like our characters. And the first session was when we all met at a celebration for the completion of this project. We had a session where, completely unrelated to the DM's being the first session he's ever run, a very awkward king gave a very awkward speech about his mysterious project and was promptly murdered by a possessed drow. And upon his murder, the queen sought out the services of the 3 adventurers as 3 of the more capable people who were present for the event, to seek out her son, who was now the king, who had been lost upon this work project, which was an entrance to a mysterious portal to various planes of existence called the Path. So this is the Path, they learned, was a way to traverse, kind of a shortcut between various planes of existence. And they entered upon the Path, found themselves quite stuck there, and forced to traverse it. Within their first few ventures. They realized that if they died, they would be resurrected upon the path. And a strange man called the Smiling Man took special interest in them and chose to bestow on them boons upon their death and resurrection, which is how our characters will have some unique abilities that are either from different subclasses than theirs, or even from entirely different classes. That so they're a little bit stronger than normal player characters in general. So then, as they traversed the path, they tried to go up the path. It's directional. They tried to go up the path for a little while, and Avariel, who was the same race as one of our players, Karos, named Sister Rodell, was very effective at stopping them. And so they switched to the downward path upon learning that's where the prince was. Fighting their way down, getting swallowed by an extraplanar worm sort of snake thing, and subsequently fighting their way through and eventually being rescued by Amubus' deity and allowed to return to the path, at which point they faced the guardian of the downward path, Nerungwe, a Jerider with unusual powers. They were able to defeat him and relieve him of a mysterious artifact sword that he was in possession of, which now is in Amubus' possession. And this enabled them to exit the path, but when they exited, they were now in the Underdark as they traversed from the sort of surface level material plane to the Underdark, which is a not necessarily a different plane, but a much more difficult to enter portion of the material plane that is deep, deep underground. Upon entry to the Underdark, they met with some sea elves who led them to the reservoir, which is the capital of the Drowned Lords, who are sea elves who fell into the Underdark through a chasm under the ocean and are now more or less stuck there and have tried to build a life for themselves. They learned of two other kingdoms in the other Underdark, the Ashen Kingdom of the Drought and the Grey Empire of dwarves and deep gnomes. And
Let me see if I can pull their names. Is it Duragar and Sverfnal?
I think it's like Smurf.
It's got
Nerflin.
It sounds a little bit like Smurfs. That's how I get there.
Snurfliblin.
Yeah,
Svirfneblin.
Neblin. That's a Wordle word for you.
And the reservoir was invaded while they were there by the Ashen Kingdom. They attempted to sneak out to avoid a political disaster for the Drowned Lords by harboring surface dwellers. Managed to sneak past the bulk of the troops, and unfortunately a crafty spellcaster was able to evade them and bring reinforcements that they were unable to defeat, resulting in the capture of two of our players and the escape of the other. So that is pretty much where we are. If anyone wants to add anything, I thought that was
a great recap. I think you hit all the high points.
Fairly exhaustive. I think something to note specifically is all of our abilities right now, extra from our classes, are coming from these little beast summons that we had that came from different companion specs. So if we mention something that we have and you're like, I don't know the subclass that gives that, it's
we
from
had very lovely
little
pets
summons.
for a little while who were pretty cool.
R.I.P.
I think Alibaba still has a pet.
Kind of regret getting rid of them. They're really freaking strong. So
Yeah, they're
maybe
great.
they needed to go. Yeah, that's about it. I'll let the characters do their introductions. As is tradition, I think we will start with Battle Armor.
Yep, that's me. I'm Battle Armor. I'm playing the character Karos Fester, who is an armor artificer of Ariel. He's a real curious guy, always assumes the best of everybody. He was the one who surrendered when they seemed like they were outmatched, kind of assuming that he would be able to reason with these people at the end of it, and he just didn't want to die outside of the path, because if you die out of the game, you die in real life. So yeah, currently trying to make some headway, talking to the various drow peoples, as I am I think unequipped of my armor and therefore my very lifeblood. So I am Navarial in actual race, but in D&D race I play a high elf because my wings have been horribly burnt and horribly scarred. So I didn't want to just play a Navarial without the one thing that makes a Varial. So DM was kind to let me just play a high elf. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. Putu, you want to go next?
Sure. So I'm Putu. I play Amubis Calfin. He is a Minotaur race, cleric class. He is specifically Path to the Grave subclass of cleric. Amubis was the one who did not surrender. He fought to the bitter end and lost, and so his pride is definitely hurt. A little background on Amubis: he grew up in the church in service to Uptau, his god, and he is joined this crew and is a little sheltered in some regards, but generally tries to do the right thing and cares about people. So that's Amubis in a nutshell. And he still misses his Dalio lion that was his companion. It's that wound cut deep, and it's not healing anytime soon. So,
despite getting along the poorest out of the
I know.
us.
You don't miss them till they leave. I will say the thrust web is, while I did acquire it, and Mubis did acquire it, it got taken when he was captured, and so
it has been yoinked.
It was doing things to his mind.
We'll cover all that in a sec. I would also like to mention, just as a point of interest, Uptau, Amubis' god, is a god of mazes specifically, and so he has had unique insight over the course of the campaign, as this path indeed has nothing to do with mazes. All right,
a non-zero amount to do with mazes.
Climate
sure.
changer.
Yeah, I'm Climate Changer playing Alibaba, the tiefling warlock who has gone into an alliance, a shaky alliance, with a djinn, a Freedy fire djinn that he keeps in a flask in his pocket, along with all of the orphans that he is
You're playing D&D.
is taking care of,
You're
and
playing D&D.
the reason why he has such a strong need for gold to pay for all of those orphans.
D&D.
And he values his survival pretty much over the others. So in this last encounter, he did flee from the scenario, seeing there was no likely success, I believe. And so I think he's separated from the Minotaur and the, what is it again?
Elf.
Elf.
You
Okay.
can just say elf.
Elf.
Oh,
Okay.
that's fine.
Yeah,
There's a few different kinds of elves in this campaign.
Yeah.
They certainly feel some camaraderie.
Vario. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yes.
I think I made note of it when we ended last time. So sorry to people who are catching up on YouTube, but I love this specific character moment of us all doing the exact perfect thing for our character in this situation. Like, Amubis absolutely fighting it out to the end. Would
Always.
never give up in any situation. Alibaba running, in a reasonable time frame, like correctly
Yes.
so, but still getting out of there. And Karos being like, we can talk this out. It can work. Just very, very good to me.
It was definitely on brand for sure on that last moment of session 24. I do want to take a quick break, real quick, DM, and acknowledge that Battle Armor just did a subscribe. So thank you, Battle Armor. We appreciate you. He did a Prime subscription, folks, which you can too.
Isn't that
Using an Amazon Prime.
Good Prime.
So
yeah, it's free.
Don't send Bezos to the moon. Send money to Putu instead. Use that Prime subscription. All right.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Give $5 more to Hassan, or are you gonna give $5 to Putu?
To this crew,
who could,
who
could really use the support.
You're gonna have a profound impact, Whereas you would no one would even know if you gave it to one.
Drop in the bucket to some of those bigger streamers.
Yeah.
But I highly value it, and I say thank you, Battle Armor, and encourage others to do likewise. Thank you.
All right. So I will be honest. I did not rewatch the last episode. I'm just going to go off memory. It's a little too cringy to watch myself. But if other people are binge watching and I get something wrong, I am sorry. I will strive to do the best I can. But as a reminder to our players, a couple things that happened literally in the last session that were worthy of note. Don't know if y'all noticed them or not. Either way. The drow were unwilling to touch Thrustweb. They instead wrapped it in cloth so that they did not make direct contact with it. They also specifically were unwilling to kill Amubis. Amubis also can speak Undercommon and Elvish, which he could not before. That is something of note. They referred to his god as an under god.
It gets me riled up every time.
He's heard before. And I think that's about it for Alibaba. We'll get to him in a second. We're gonna start out here with our characters. So I didn't ask y'all specifically, but I think this is the first time Karos has been out of his armor. And Amubis in normal clothes. Is there anything worthy of note that you'd like to mention about you in particular that wouldn't be noticeable when you were fully clothed? Y'all aren't naked or anything. You have like normal clothes.
Yeah.
But you do not have your armor specifically.
I think probably you had seen some of it on my face before because I very often have my helmet down and such like that. But burn scars all down face and back a little bit. It's sort of more on one side than the other. And as I mentioned, the wings are completely singed to the point of like almost unrecognizability, but they did start to grow back a little bit, I think, due to the magic of the path and one of the Smiling Man's boons at some point. So they're a little bit of something. They've still got a sort of blackened, charred quality to them. I probably just have like a normal shirt with like wing holes cut out of it, just like a normal canvas shirt. But
I mean, it's up to you. I was kind of picturing like Breath of the Wild quasi-futuristic underwear. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of what I was imagining, because you have kind of a not really futuristic necessarily, but like
yeah, it's mildly something.
Like more like a jumpsuit than like a.
Because I would have been wearing it under my
powered technology.
Yeah, it's got diodes on it for sure.
How about you?
But yeah,
anything?
I think with Amubis, you realize how good the armor does of hiding his pooch. He has a little pooch from service in the church. As you know, churches do good potlucks, and he likes to always sneak that second meal in. So he's got a little extra, but it's slimmed. He's slimmed down a little bit on the path because it's not as good eating on the path as it was, out of the path. So That's all. He's got little chubs going on there in the midsection that you don't notice with his armor on.
Otherwise,
Also-
fairly skinny for a cow, though. Correct.
Correct. He's still pretty
Yeah.
stout.
And then, Karos, how long ago did you have your burns? Are we talking 10 years? Are we talking 5 years? 1 year?
I think I think I'm established to be like mid-20s somewhere. And it happened when I was like a kid, so maybe 10 years ago or so. Like probably teen.
Sounds good.
Because I was old enough to be helping my father with his experiments, but young enough to be kind of dumb about it. So.
And then I don't know if we established it or whether I just thought of it in my head, but I assume that Anubis would not be wearing cow leathers, but traditionally the worshippers of Uptower are from Schultz, which have a lot of great lizards, so I imagine he'd be wearing some sort of reptile leather.
Yeah, it's a faux leather. It's not. It's like a
faux
vegan
leather. Nice.
a vegan version of leather.
It's made from avocados.
Yeah, it's avocado leather,
That's right.
as is
You
tradition.
can break it off and make a good dip out of it. It's great.
Yes, deprived of your gear, as a reminder to you as players. Did I stop this? You have no gear, so your AC is 10 plus your Dex mod as is naked AC. Also, you have no spellcasting focus of any kind, so while you still can cast spells if they require verbal and somatic components, you are currently tied up. So at this moment, you can only cast verbal spells. But just keep that in mind if you intend to cast the spell. Anything that requires material components will not be castable at this time. Other than that, these guardsmen have tied you up quite well. They're familiar with spell casting, thanks to Malvagel, who is the blade singer who sort of exercised the series of events that resulted in your capture. He's a particularly clever drow. He's able to speak common. He's highly intelligent. And then the rest of them are more brutes and thugs. You've got Nasta, who is kind of the head of this particular unit of drow who were invading the reservoir or raiding. Or you gathered that it wasn't a large enough force that they were like looking to take it over, but there are various political reasons for them to continually bother them. There are
Quick rules establishment. I got an ability once, and mentioned it earlier with the wings reguring. Featherfall has verbal and material components, but does my particular Featherfall?
Yeah, I'm gonna say your wings are the material for that.
Okay,
just
cool.
for that one spell. So
yeah,
that will still work.
Cool. Just making sure. I didn't know if it would come up or not.
Yeah, it's more like the Featherfall effect than it is the Featherfall spell.
I have a personal version of the Featherfall effect that I can use.
Yeah, because it can't like affect other people as well, so it's already modified, so it might as well modify it.
That's good.
Yeah, so there's a few drow soldiers escorting y'all, and they're taking you through an area of the Underdark that y'all did not previously traverse. It seems like they kind of know a little bit better paths with fewer giant octopuses and gibbering mouthers and other horrible monstrosities that can exist here in the Underdark. As people who live here would, they don't care to encounter anything too much. There are hostile creatures that y'all bump into on the way. Vicious snakes and bats and rats and crabs and all sorts of oddities, spiders. But they're all small, and you're with a group of soldiers.
You're playing D&D. You're playing D&D. This hall Apartment
they treat you pretty well. They
is playing D&D.
you know, they let you rest when they rest, you eat when they eat, drink when they drink. So you're not being mistreated. The lower ranked guards don't say anything to you and don't sort of engage if you attempt to. Nasta and Malvagil are a little bit higher rank, and they will be willing to talk to you if you want to. On this sort of, it's kind of a day and a half's journey, and you will get a long rest at some point on this trip. So you can feel free to do the long rest for yourselves.
So, question.
Yeah, you can feel free to ask. What's up?
I have, so as part of my Artificer toolkit, I can infuse items, and I can do so over a long rest with no requirement for holding anything like that. I can just, whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch a non-magical object and imbue it with one of your Artificer infusers, turning it into a magic item. I have one that affects my shoes. Can I just tap my boots and turn them into an Artificer infusement?
You may.
Cool. Okay.
Do the infusions require, I don't know, tools or anything like that? Because I know your spells require tools.
Yeah, it doesn't actually. It's just at the end of a long rest, I can touch a non-magical object, turn it into a magic item, and I can use any of my magic items that have been infused this way as a spellcasting focus.
Okay.
So I currently have...
It's sort of like you have a little bit of magic, I guess.
Yeah, I
I'll
have
say
magic
that-
inside of me for sure.
Yeah, I'll say that any gear you own, you sort of have given the once over. You kind of know how it works. And I think the nature of Artificer magic, if I remember it correctly, is not necessarily strictly imbuing things with magic, but seeing the way magic interacts with things, almost like the Force, like it flows through everything, and the ability to harness that magic that does exist within things. And so I'm going to say that you had these boots that were almost like primed for magic, and you needed only activate.
What's really funny is the specific... Can you guys hear that? Vacuum.
Like a moaning.
Mm-hmm.
Sounded like a whale.
It's the vacuum noise. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a whale. It's like a very distant.
Whale
Alright,
song.
well-
It's not bad though.
I will ask them to stop vacuuming. But the specific infusion that I'm putting on them is entirely unrelated to this, called Boots of the Winding Path.
How about?
And so I'm going to say that I have studied the path enough, and this was a specific infusion that I got at 6th level. That was my girlfriend, and she just apologized. I think she heard on the stream.
Don't worry about it.
No worries. And so I think that probably by having these boots in the path with me and like them going through all the different iterations of the path and stuff like that, they have sort of gained some of that essence, and I realized that I still have something on me that can work.
Absorb some of the
ambient
magic.
So now, as a bonus action, I can return to so I can teleport to a location 15 feet away that I've already occupied in this turn.
Okay.
So basically, I get to like rewind 15 feet. So I don't know if it'll be useful at any point, but I can use it as spellcasting focus and stuff like that. So I just want to have insurance.
Sounds good.
I want to pause real quick. pause real quick and acknowledge that Mina did a subscribe. We appreciate you. Thank you for the patronage. She was sorry about the vacuum, but I said vacuum away if you subscribed. You can vacuum all you want.
That's one of our sub perks.
That's right.
Feel free to vacuum.
Vacuum privileges.
Yeah.
Anubis.
That should be your new sub noise. It's just a vacuum. It's funny, we had vacuum lore in yesterday.
Yeah, pre-campaign. So I think at some point during the long rest, can we get near each other? Or are we still kind of bound and being held apart from each other? I guess in any course of like being transported, am I able to talk to Karas, or are they keeping us separate?
Not privately, but you are all, due to the nature of traveling through the Underdark is pretty unsafe. You're all near each other just out of practicality. So you are free to speak to him, but you will never be given private time.
Gotcha. Okay. And then Anubis kind of holds his
Especially
tongue.
since due to you like being fairly injured for most of the trip, you have 2 guards that are just kind of assigned to you to escort you. And Karos is kind of given a little bit. He doesn't have anyone like hands on him. He's just sort of following along.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if you want to talk to him, you may. If you want to talk to your captors, you may. I'm going to say they would have said that they're taking you to the Ashen Kingdom to meet the Bright Queen. I believe they even did specifically say that. Yeah, if you wanted anything further, or we can just go through the journey.
It's surprising how few spells I actually have that require material components. That feels like that should be more of an artificer thing, but I just kind of use stuff. Yeah, I think I maybe established that I would just be sort of making generalized small talk, especially interested in the Drow's understanding of like the Elven language and their relationship to other Elven civilizations. You know, quite specifically of Ariel, to see if they happen to know anything about. I assume kind of due to the fact that Drow and Avariel are at either ends of the path, that like my running theory is that there's a little bit of a connection there. But
yeah, I'll say for most of your questions, you can kind of see. We'll say you already have a rapport with Malvagil, so I'll say that he's the one interested in talking to you. He, for most of your questions, he seems like he would like to engage you on it, but generally wants to defer to you meeting the Queen first. He's kind of not sure what he should or shouldn't say at this point. He, as you ask about the Avarials and the Drow, he says, and I'm going to say that they generally are going to speak Elvish, because it's a language everyone in this group speaks right now.
Yeah, the lingua franca.
Because he speaks Common, but the guards don't, and you don't speak Undercommon, so Elvish is the language we all have in common. So he says, Drow have been in the Underdark since the dawn of time. This is our ancestral kingdom. This is, it's our destiny to rule here. I hear the same for Avarials and the kingdom of the sky, and indeed for the surface elves. We all have our roles to play in guiding the land and ensuring order is imposed. There are these newer, fresher creatures who haven't been around as long as us, and they tend to have short-sighted goals. I believe it's our destiny to make sure the world goes on as it always has. Which is why You may see there's such disdain for the Grey Empire as they have risen up and become quickly the dominant power down here, which is a place reserved for elves.
Well, I certainly have heard that a similar sentiment from among my people. I'm not quite as fond of the divine right to rule ideology as some people seem to be, but I do understand that the Grey Empire, from what I've heard, has been taking a bit more of their fair share of the pie than is appropriate. But
I see it.
I shall be glad to meet your queen, and then perhaps we can speak a bit more freely about perhaps ideas and big picture concepts.
I think you'll find that it's less about who rules and more about whether people are willing to listen to wisdom or not.
That is a large problem with a number of different people's unwillingness to listen to wisdom.
Give me a quick investigation check.
Well, I'm good at those. I'm very good at those.
Dang.
19 plus 8.
So, as is instinct for you, you can't help but glance over the gear of all those around you, and especially Malvagil, as he seems to be the top dog around here. You notice his sword that he's been using, and you noticed it a little bit earlier, as it's a dark gray sword with runes on it, and you can certainly tell that this is a magical sword. But specifically, what's interesting out of it is not made of metal; it is made of stone. Its edge is kept by almost a ceramic or onyx type glass-like edge, but it has the uniform form of a metal sword while being made of stone. You're not sure what it does at this point, but it is something that's remarkable to you.
Sounds good. I make a mental note to talk to him about it later, sensing his reservation and, just kind of wanting to get there. I'm not going to poke and prod at like, hey, what's your weapon situation like? What do you got going? That seems kind of sus and seems like it would get a guard put on me. So I'm not going to talk about it right now.
Fair enough. Anything else before we continue onward?
Hamubis is gonna stay quiet. He's kind of offended about how the fight went, and his pride is broken, so he's not really talking.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I will mention that. No, that's not worth mentioning. I'll mention it. Let's just bounce over to Alibaba real quick, so I can remember which map he's on. There it is.
Got
With his magic carpet, which was once a flounder.
Nice.
And his found familiar, who is currently a serpent, Loot. He is in the shack of Crumb, who is a humanoid rat, and one of his adopted sons, Mordenkainen, who is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. We had already encountered his brothers who had made their way through the path and actually succeeded in traversing the Underdark's version of the path. So we know they're quite capable. Mordenkainen stayed behind. He's an artificer. He's more of a tinkerer than he is a combatant. So that's why he, of the four brothers, was chosen to stay behind. They had just explained to Alibaba that there was a back way into the Ashen Kingdom that they could tell him about. So
Hmm.
that's kind of where we fade
And
in here.
I would very much like to take this back path too, as soon as possible. More than kind.
Yeah, dude. I think a Master Crumb, he's gonna need his friends, right? If you wish to re-enter the path, you are going to need your friends. I suspect that the Drow have not yet killed them, as their curiosity tends to usurp their wrathfulness at most times. We can lead you to a back path and tell you how to get there, but I'm afraid that that's all the help we can give you for now. I'm in no condition to fight, and unfortunately, I'm dependent on Mordenkainen for most everyday activities.
I see. You have been very helpful so far. Kinder than really anyone else I've run into in here, so.
Yeah, dude,
Whatever.
the Underdark's a harsh place, man. Here, let me, can I see that? And he points to the King of Sleep, the dagger that you are in possession of.
Oh, okay.
Like, I really like magic items. I don't know. I just want to take a look at
Here you go. Just don't stab me with it.
it. So he takes from you the King of Sleep and kind of like manipulates it, flips the hourglass a few times, kind of flicks it, and then he takes out his tinker's tools and starts messing with it a little bit. And after a little while of twisting random things on the handle and way too much spinning of the hourglass than you think could be practically useful, he hands it back and says, "Oh, you weren't really using this right, but I got it set up for you now." And
What did you do?
it gains
You had it in
additional
airplane mode.
ability. Yeah, exactly.
Bluetooth was turned on.
And updating the
Oh. The King of
So-
Twilight.
King of Twilight.
it has gained this Gambler's Blade property. Through its connection with you as a person, and also just its evolving magics, you can choose to give it a +1 to +3 bonus, but you take a -1 to -3 penalty on your death saving throws. So it has this property now, but it's a little bit upgraded. They
Quite
also,
a gamble.
they also tell you where you can get to this backwards. It's actually a sewer entrance to the Ashen Kingdom through their sanitation compartment.
Okay.
So you are
But I need to get
pointed on
back
the way.
to Karos and Anubis, right, before we can take that.
No, the Ashen Kingdom is where Karos and Anubis
Okay.
go.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Did we get confirmation that the path is actually not at the Ashen Kingdom and it is in fact at the Grey Kingdom? Did we hear that, or am I making that up?
You were told that by the Drow.
We were told that they do not have the path by the Drow.
The Drow claim that the path entrance is not in their kingdom.
Cool. Word. which doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't, but it just means that they don't have any specific knowledge of it. But we can kind of trust them, but also, who knows?
And I like those things. Oh, Alibaba. They offer you rest at their shack if you want it. You can short or long rest or anything you please. You're welcome to it.
Yeah, I think I've already taken a rest here.
Yeah, we might have established that at the end of the last session.
In which case, he would probably, you know.
You can also take this opportunity to change Newt if you wanted to.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to be in a sewage pipe, right? At some point. I don't know. Maybe a snake would be.
That's where they're sending you.
Yeah.
Man, the Putu channel has been kind of scatological recently.
We go there. We're
More
provocative.
like Putu.
Oh
Two
my gosh. Well,
And it's to the solace of anyone. I do not have any poop plans.
I think he would.
Thank you,
know,
kind of benevolent.
No
He doesn't
poop
go there.
elementals, which
I
are
go
literally
there.
a thing.
I go there. He does not. There's
That's
a
the
line.
Putu difference.
Yeah.
The poop too good.
I'm assuming I'm attuned to the king of Twilight, right?
Yes.
So I would probably do that gambler's blade thing right away, being as.
Are you taking the max?
Yeah.
All right, +3.
Attaboy.
The question I have though is, do you have a -3 to your death saving throw? Like, only if you're holding the dagger?
No, if
While
you're
you're
attuned.
attuned to it, I assume.
While you're attuned to it, okay.
So even if you're not holding it,
All right. +3.
go ahead and modify it to do that. Yeah, so you can head out whenever. You can talk to these guys if you want. I think you talked to them last session. Don't recall exactly.
What can we expect along this tunnel? Is it fraught with enemies?
And Krem will say, I don't recall there being anything too severe there. Sewers is kind of where we make our lives. And it would probably just be typical fauna of the Underdark. Nothing too horrifying.
Okay. Well, let's avoid conflict. I really need to get to my friends.
Sounds good.
Shout out to non-viewers. Woot woot. Thank you for the views, folks.
Well, if you're ready
Shout
to head out,
out to 10 viewers.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. He's Alibaba's ready to go, man.
cool. Well, we will transfer you to a sewer.
Sewer.
Oh snap!
Get Newt out here with you. All right, so Alibaba and Newt make their way. I don't think Flatter. You have to like activate him, right? I don't
Yeah,
think he's-
I would
I
say
don't
he
think
would be an action. To
Yeah,
use.
yeah. So he's not as default with you. You enter this sewer-like area. It's a short walk from where they are. They like to camp not too far from it because they live off of scrounging off the remnants of other kingdoms. But it is cobbled together, but it's mostly canals, so it doesn't need a lot of maintenance. So a lot of it's in disrepair because they just haven't bothered to maintain it. I'm not going to bother with Fog of War or anything like that because I don't know how to use that. Yeah, so
Okay.
you're
All right.
you,
So can I?
make your way through here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
You can hear the chirping of of bats echoing through a very echoey sort of chamber.
So he's going to send Newt out in front of him, of course.
As is wise.
Yeah. So Newt's going to go kind of scout out. I think he's going to attempt to look through Newt's eyes and see if he sees anything up there. And
Well, Newt slithers along the ground. I think he's got a swim speed too, so you could always swim in the canal if you wanted to.
yeah, I'm imagining swimming in.
All right, cool. Yeah, as he swims through the canal, you're seeing through his eyes. You spy a couple of bats, and obviously you see that left turn up ahead, but nothing too crazy.
And I shoot the bats from here.
Yeah.
All right, he's gonna just cast the good old Eldritch Blast on each one of those bats that he can.
Cool. Do some attack rolls.
That's a 20
Yeah, that'll hit.
and a 28.
That'll hit as well. Go ahead and roll damage for both of those.
Nice.
We'll say the first one's for this one nearest you, and then the second one's for the further away one.
Sebs,
They
make
just-
sure to
They pop like little.
drop that PU2 ASU Nat 20 emote in the chat.
Oh yeah.
I saw that we just had that.
Yeah.
So, I think he's going to continue forward after killing some bats.
Sure. Now, if you don't want to be swimming, you'll have to keep to either the boards or the cobblestone. The part in the middle is sewage.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's get off that.
Newt is perfectly happy to swim through, but you may want to stay
Yeah,
out.
Alibaba likes to be clean. He doesn't want to be dirty. Can I just climb up out of the canal? Okay.
Yeah. Well, we can just say you never went. And I assumed if you were actually there, you would not have gone.
Yeah.
Because that was a surprise attack, you don't even roll initiative or anything. You just shot them before they bothered to do anything.
They were asleep. They're just bats.
They're bats. It's daytime. No, they're always awake in the Underdark because it's never daytime.
Fair.
Wait, I don't know.
I mean, I don't see why Alibaba would change his strategy up, and I think he would just keep sending Newt up as a scout.
Yeah.
And
Newt sees a few more bats. From there, he can spy 3 bats.
oh,
I mean, you can choose to risk it and spare a bat, or
yeah,
they're just pretend bats in a tabletop game. So I don't know how merciful you have to be.
he's gonna. I'm thinking, though, in reality, that's not the kind of thing that I would be afraid of at this point. It's a bat.
Is the bat.
So he's probably just going to continue to follow Newt, I guess, and
You
try
just
to peer around and
Ignore
see
the
if,
bats for now.
yeah, if he can. He's always on the lookout for something valuable, so he's probably going to see if he can see anything. Even though it's a sewer, who knows?
Yeah, you can hit me with that perception check.
All right. 18.
It's a great check, but I'm afraid it is a sewer. Unless you'd like
Alright.
a loose brick, or perhaps a plank of wood. The bats, as you approach them, they just flee. They're not interested in engaging a humanoid.
So you murdered them for no reason.
I feel bad, slightly, as I
You probably need-
slightly.
Has
Yeah.
anything about this adventure implied you ought to trust that critters assault you?
They have been aggressive so far.
Yeah. Just gonna make my way out of here.
Cool. Well, as Newt moves to that location, a giant crab, a bit smaller than you, so it's maybe like 3 feet across, but still very big for a crab. Goes to take a snap at him. So go ahead and roll initiative
All right.
against this giant crab.
Giant
Is my
enemy
music still
crab.
playing at all?
I'm not hearing it.
I can't
I'm
really hear it
hearing
now.
It might not be on loop.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah,
Yep.
maybe that's what it was.
Now it's cutting
Rumble.
in.
Sorry guys, we're just
It's a
So does
15.
Newt shares your initiative? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think he goes on my turn.
Oh, I need to bring up an initiative track. I guess I have to do that.
But I can't remember that. A familiar. Let me drop this.
I think that's
huge
how we've done
stone.
it.
Yeah.
How we've done it in the
There we go.
past is just that Newt goes to the end or during.
Oops.
Yeah, we'll.
Yeah, I think it's DM choice anyway.
All right, so as Newt spies this giant crab, preparing to take a snap at him, Newt may do as he pleases, and you may do as you pleases. Also seeing the giant enemy crab.
Okay, I can take a bite attack. I think Alibaba's gonna go first, obviously, and try to.
Sure.
He's gonna cast Eldritch Blast, of course, on, and I get to do that twice, I think.
Sounds
Is that-
good. Yeah.
Here we go. He pulls up
16
his
hits.
staff and points it at the bubbling water and fires an Eldritch Blast, and then another one.
Dang. Tearing it up with those blasts.
And
those
keep
two
in mind, there's a
blasts.
little fire on these Eldritch Blasts.
Yeah, that's right. Is that already added into?
I'm not sure why it's not on there.
You can do. We can work that.
A little
Yeah.
fire on the blast and in the sewage.
Is Newt gonna do anything else on your turn?
Newt,
As I will say, another giant crab surfaces behind this one.
Newt is going to use the hide action to hide where he is currently on the bottom of the canal.
All right. Give him a stealth check.
Okay. Let's
If he
see.
doesn't have stealth on his character sheet, just roll dexterity. All right, he's got a little 9. I don't know how perceptive a crab is, so that might be fine.
And then, Alibaba, I think he still has a move,
Yeah, you can still move.
so he's gonna basically occupy this spot where the bat is.
Cool. Well, this bat, doesn't care to be occupied. It's going to flee as the other bat. And then the giant crab, having completely lost sight of the very stealthy Newt, is going to got a 30-foot speed. Let's see if he can get to you. He's gonna give it his all. Oh yeah. He's gonna try to pinch you, bud.
No,
Get ready to
Crab
get-
hammer.
not a pinch.
Pinch.
And he will miss.
Yeah.
You remain thoroughly unpinched.
He'll take a snap at your feet, but you're pretty able to just hop out of the way as he's a big fat slow grab. He's fat off of sewage.
This is sort of what fighting mud crabs is like in Skyrim. You're just like, ba ba ba, and he's like, snip.
Yeah. Nibbity
I think,
snap. Yeah, this is a
um,
Skyrim early level dungeon.
Yeah, I think he's just for fun. Alibaba's gonna pull out the King of Twilight
Ooh.
and give it a shot. See if he can't put this crab to sleep.
All right.
So that's a dagger roll. Yeah. He's gonna.
A plus
Pull it
3
out.
dagger roll.
Hey yo.
Yeah, just add on to this roll.
That's a
Yeah, that'll hit.
non-natural 20.
Yeah, he's gonna sink it right into his carapace and tell him, "Shh." And he's gonna go to sleep.
That's his throat slow.
Nice.
Shh.
Well, go
I don't
ahead.
have time
You
for
can roll
these.
damage for the dagger, and then roll this. Do you have the sleep spell that you can roll?
Let me check.
It's actually 6.
No sleep spell. Let me just drag it on here real quick.
Yeah, just drag the sleep spell into your inventory so that you can cast it with the knife. I'm sure it'll work, but give it a go.
Not sleepo, sleep.
A sleepo?
You just make a Pokemon? Sleep.
Oh,
Is it just at level 1, I guess?
Sleep.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll put him rightly to sleep. As the you see, as the blade enters him, you activate the magic, which is the one occasion where the hourglass is no longer upright. It goes ahead and flips and starts straining sand. As the blade, rather than purely entering the creature, you see a flash of light as it goes in, not dealing any damage, but putting the crab neatly to sleep.
Noise.
Right.
And from where you're at, we'll just X out the turn order. That's over now. You can see a ladder leading out of the sewers.
Well, he's gonna follow Newt towards that ladder and climb out.
Well, it's actually up here.
Of course.
It is drawn on the map, which I did not draw.
I was zoomed in too far.
I hear you. Cool. Well, we and remember, as an action, you can return the dagger to your hand. We shall return to you shortly. For now, we are going to go to a new map. As you approach the Ashen Kingdom, you see a great, a towering kingdom of almost unfathomable proportions. This is a place that would have taken hundreds of years to build, easily. It is well nestled into a huge rock face, highly defensible, and truly a marvel of engineering that would rival any surface kingdom that you have ever seen. It also has
Karos begins to clap behind his back when they approach, just like, wow.
Yeah, especially for Navarial in the Sky Cities, there are somewhat limitations on what you can build. Like there,
yeah,
whatever ancient technologies or faith or whatever, I will decide when we end up going there one day. That keeps things in the sky. Can't sustain quite as massive structures, and even on the surface, in most places, you'd need to be like up against a mountain or something to get a towering city like this. Like, it's a true marvel, and very contrasted to the reservoir, which was hobbled together of things they could find. It was more or less one story, people just surviving. This is people who are surviving and thriving and building for for beauty as well as function. They have been here a long, long time. And even the approach itself takes a good half day to get where you're going because it is such a massive city. And they have things to ease the way. There's some parts that use canals to get around the city. There's no elevators per se, so unfortunately it does end up being a lot of steps. But the nature of drows is they're all pretty young and healthy despite whatever age they might be, so they just take the steps as they come. And this is mostly just a looking at map, so I shall move on to another.
I did forget.
Very cool.
Yes, that elves do live for an incredibly long time. So when I said 25, I meant elf 25.
Elf 25.
When I said
150.
10 years, I meant elf 10 years. Whatever that is.
We'll just
I always forget.
multiply
It's
everything by 10.
it's wild to try to think about
So like
elf
200.
lifetimes
It's so inconvenient. Probably like 200.
in the time for somewhere
Because
around there.
I
for
think
sure.
100 is like adulthood for elves, so that would be
Mhm.
like teens or whatever.
Yeah,
And then
that
you're a
feels correct.
A little beyond that. Yeah, maybe like 150.
I think I always headcanon it that elf society, like when you live in elf world, everything just takes so much longer and everybody's so chill and relaxed. And then once you start to go into the real world, like things are so much quicker that like a lot of stuff
You
happens
just
really
adapt.
quick.
And
Like this has not just been like I guess this has just been the most like eventful 6 months of Karos's life or however long it's been.
Yeah.
Nothing really happened, and then suddenly everything happened,
Everything.
and now I'm at level 6
Well, have you
instead
been-
of 1.
It's
You've
like
been on the surface world roughly since your accident, right? So you
Yeah. Well,
So you've
it's
been
just
here a while.
it's wildly inconvenient to live in a sort of vertical flying elf world with no wings, and they weren't particularly happy about me in general.
Yes.
So yeah, I think he has been here for a bit.
So we shall transfer over as you enter this magnificent hall. You see that it's full of not only interesting architecture, but statues. There's sculpted art everywhere. It's a truly magnificent sight to behold. And interestingly, contrary to a lot of other kingdoms you've seen, as you enter this sort of almost like civic center, this is the middle of the city, the Ashen Queen can just be seen there. Theoretically, anyone can just approach her.
Are
One
people?
One of the beauties of Drow society is they have all lived long enough to sort of adhere to social rules without being told. There's not quite the rebellious spirit that maybe humans or other shorter-lived beings have to defy rules or to pester people. And it's almost a flex of her power that she's like, hey, I can sit here in clear sight of everyone, and I know they won't bother me. And so, as you approach, you can see that Malvagil is getting he's getting antsy, but in an excited way. Like you get the feeling that he doesn't often get a direct counsel with the Queen, and it's not reflected in this image per se, but there are a multitude of armed guards around her. This is the hub of their society. And
Quick programming note. Tris, on stream, your video is getting super weird artifacting. Mine's been doing that periodically.
that
and you can
happened
just
to, what's up?
if you just turn off, if you just disable your camera and re-enable it on Quad Ninja,
Okay.
it'll pop back in. So
It's something with auto buffering. I don't
He's
know why.
become something other than himself.
yeah, that
He's
was
become
happening to
the DM.
one of our other players.
He's entering the Matrix now.
Yeah.
I don't know if
and now we're good.
You
It
did. It did.
I fix
Good.
it? Okay.
Yep.
You're good. Yep.
I just have a big lag on my stream. Thank you, y'all.
You.
So yeah, you are ushered up, and obviously you are both very remarkable in that, regardless of your skin tone, it's not dark gray. And so as you're led up, you're very obviously not Drow. And Anubis is incredibly obviously not Drow in that he's a Minotaur. And compared to, well, I would say you've kind of experienced a similar setting, Karos, in that your society was very homogenous, as is this one. It's virtually all Drow. Your society is virtually all Ariel. But Anubis and Alibaba, who's not here, are from very multicultural, multiracial, ethnic areas where it would be very odd to see all of the same people in one place. But they are very surprised to see you. So kind of a natural procession form as the Drows want to gawk at these strangers being led up, and this kind of reinforces the Ashen Queen's decision to sit amongst everyone, because now she has a natural sort of walkway all the way up to her throne, and a chance. She doesn't shy away from speaking directly to her people, so here she has a chance to flex her power. As you approach her,
no doubt.
you stop, some yards away. They're not. You don't approach to the point of upsetting her guards, but you see her upon her throne. She has a sort of wicked spiked crown. It's just the Drow style, but to outsiders it can look a bit sinister.
She's just goth.
Yeah, exactly. As Malvagil and Nasta take a knee, and before they do, they sort of through nudges imply that you ought to as well. It's basically kicking at your knees, making you do it.
I am keeping a close watch on them for protocol indications, and I will not be making any token resistances. I will just follow whatever protocol seems to be.
Anubis will do
I'm
the
curious
exact
to see what Anubis will.
opposite. He will do the exact opposite. They almost have to force him down. He doesn't take the nudges well. They have to manhandle him down, and it's not really about when they manhandle him down. I want to pause though real quick on my role playing and just say thank you, Alex, for the subscription. Subscription from Alex to Sophia Jane. He gifted one. Thank you, Alex. We appreciate your
kind.
Patriot
Gift sub.
So shout out for that.
And I'd like to pause quickly to say it's not manhandling, it's cow handling.
There we go. That's called a rodeo, folks.
Yeah, so you are forced to kneel by Nasta, and as you resist, you hear various disapproving murmurs from the crowd as they're like, "Oh."
Probably not doing a lot for racism here.
He blurts out because he hasn't been talking at all, but he notices the chatter, and he just says, I guess he would say this in Elvish. he would say, "It's because I've been taken captive." just
Not a race thing.
It's not a racial
because
thing.
I'm a captain.
he tries even with capture. Even with capture,
Normally very civil.
even when captured,
I have
he's
a
worried.
job at everything.
He's worried about appearances even while captured. So
I'm a priest.
I'm a man of the church
Hilarious.
against my will. I'm here.
And so as you kneel, everyone goes silent, and this silence continues on for an uncomfortable amount of time, which you can gather is that the queen is expected to talk first, and she's flexing on everyone by making that take a very long time. And finally, after everyone's knees are starting to hurt, she says, "Why have these two been brought before me? I am not to be disturbed with trivial matters." Sorry, I'm not facially active. I realize there's a camera on me. But Malvagil speaks up and says, "We have one. He is from the Sky City, is a Varial. And this other, I'm afraid he's been chosen by the sword, milady." And
Maybe the sword chose me.
that's what he said.
Or maybe I chose the sword.
There you go.
There it is. Whatever the opposite of what you just said
Yeah.
was, maybe.
At hearing this, she actually stands up from her throne and walks down and approaches you, Amubis specifically, and she gets quite near to you and looks at you and says, "Do you think yourself clever?"
I'm afraid I don't catch your meeting. I'm here against my will. I would appreciate a more cordial meeting. I'm tied up and been brought to you.
Was it against your will that you took our ancestral sword?
I happened to acquire it in my journey. I acquired it through combat. Didn't know of its significance to your people.
Combat with the spider, no doubt.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate you returning it to our kingdom.
I didn't really have a choice, now did I? And he looks around. He's just very not in a good mood right now.
Karos understands the protocol here, but is brimming with questions about how she knew.
You gather that the other guards had broken off and briefed her so that she could look up.
Am I frozen?
A little bit.
I think I froze there for a moment.
Yeah, you're good now though.
But she said, she says to Amubis.
We're talking in Elvish, right? Just for
Yes.
or Undercommon. Okay, cool.
No, we're speaking Elvish here.
I don't know Undercommon.
Yes. She says, "It is against the tenets of our religion to remove this sword from you. But enjoy it while you can. You're very long-lived, unlike your species. Will be a blink of the eye before you are dead of old age. And then I shall have my sword returned."
Well, this has been a pleasant meeting. So what would you have with me and my friend then, if you were to not take back this artifact?
Well, I think we can find suitable arrangements for you. Take him to the dungeons. And she waves her hand.
I wouldn't call that suitable.
And Nasta takes you by the arm and starts to march you out of the room. As the Ashen Queen starts to walk back towards her throne, Navajil speaks up and says, Your Majesty, this Avariel, he has some abilities we lack. I would like to exchange knowledge with him before he heads to the dungeons. Would that be acceptable? And she looks back, obviously annoyed that she was interrupted on her dramatic return to her throne. And says, do as you please. Just make sure you have something to show for it when you're done. Then she returns to the throne. And the crowd erupts in applause as you two are left off. As they are just expected to approve of what the queen says. And we will move on.
What an intimidating throne room.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Just to describe, they have all of their positive symbology, all of their like glorious statues are female figures. In Drow society, men are considered far below women in general, though they can change gender, so I don't know why anyone chooses to be male. It's an odd sort of lore. I think it's social pressures or something. I don't know. But the chain figures are... you can recognize some of them as symbolic of surface gods. It's very auspicious.
So
seemingly a bit on the nose too.
Question:
Yes.
She mentioned that their religion basically means that they can't take the sword from me.
Yes.
Is the sword being like taken with me to the dungeons? Am I?
It is not on your person, but
Okay,
it
it's not on
remains
my
attuned
person.
to you.
Okay, so it remains near, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I will say that you've noticed that they have never let it be too far from you. Like there's always someone trailing you.
Okay, cool.
There's kind of one guard who's been assigned to hold it, and he's been trailing you at a sort of visible distance this whole time.
Gotcha.
So we are going to follow movies.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja
No, the turtles are gone. They're done.
Turtles
Get
in the
them.
sewer.
No more
Total
turtle.
power.
This is not a gimmicky campaign. Matter what?
We will squash them right now.
No. I think they're really cool. I will play Ninja Turtle at some point. I promise you. All right, so we're gonna follow Amoebas first. What's up?
Oh, I was gonna sing your praises more because I think it's a great bit / just in general thing that they're named after famous spellcasters
Very
and
proud of
inventors and like wizards and stuff. So go back and watch
Cool
the VODs and catch that great reference to both D&D and TMNT nerds.
It fits so well.
Very well crafted.
It's great.
All right, so Amoebas, you are led into the dungeons.
I find it strange how I am told that I can't be separated from my sword, yet it's not in my hoof. I say just as I'm leaving.
and
Do you have hoof hands?
Cloven.
How does
His dexterity
Clip it
real
right
low.
No, that's one of his man parts. He's
Yeah.
man
Yeah, that's what I figured. Business in the front.
It's an
party-
expression! It's a Minotaur expression. It's a lost on
understand.
these under people, these under elves.
There you go. Take back that turn.
Yeah, start getting racist back at him.
That's right.
Less racist and more. What is it when you're against someone's religion?
Ah, yes.
It's not quite xenophobic. There's got to be a third word for it.
There probably is a word. I can't think of it though.
Anyways, Amubis, you are led to some dungeons
Right.
by Nasta, who is the captain of the guard fellow. As you descend several flights of stairs to this very deep part of the kingdom, the first thing you see is one of the Bright Queen's Ashen Knights. These are specially trained sort of elite guard of hers, who greets Nasta with a salute and says, accepting prisoner transfer. Upon hearing this, 2 drow that are in cells perk up and push their faces against the bars and say, who's here? What is that? He's from the surface. And seem very alarmed to see you.
Can I turn to the So the captain's leading me, correct?
Yes.
So can I turn to the captain and at least say, somewhat sarcastic, but also in actuality, do I not get any sort of trial or hearing or anything like that? It's just straight to the dungeons?
Says, what is there to say? You have the sword, do you not? This is all that matters to the queen.
Ah, yes. Because I knew exactly what it was when I picked it up. Thank you for that.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
I'm afraid that sometimes people are just dealt a bad hand in fate. You fought nobly. I take no pleasure in leading you to a death by time here in our dungeons.
Oh, so that's what this is. Ah.
I'm afraid you are to be left here until old age takes you. Our religious tenets forbid us from killing you or taking the sword, but they say nothing about simply letting you die the natural way.
This is utter ridiculousness.
I've got some beef with you now.
He says to the knight, where shall I place him? And she says, I'm afraid there is but one cell that is not currently occupied or in need of cleaning. Nasta kind of rolls his eyes and says, you should really remove the corpses from these cells. Disgusting. And he leads you this way. Past, you can see there's a guard shack with some cots for them, that they spend their time here. You pass one cell that has a very gaunt-looking drow in it. You gather that, like most cities, they have normal crime that requires people getting arrested.
Mm-hmm.
But you pass 3 separate cells that have rotting corpses in them, as they do not seem to be fond of letting people out, taking them to trial, or even properly executing them. They just kind of leave them in cells until they're dead. You also pass a cell that has a giant spider in it. It seems like, for whatever reason, they hold sort of the larger creatures here who knows what they have intended for them. Most interesting, as you round this corner, you can see a Duragar, a dark dwarf, sat very on the edge of his bed and stares at you very intently as you are led to your cell. You are let in. I'll give you control of yourself now.
Okay.
The door is locked. And
Richie just immediately like moves himself out of the cell and is just like, no, 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 no.
I don't know how I got out.
I've got control.
and Nasta, before he leaves, once again turns to you and says, I am sorry. I think under other circumstances we could have been friends. And he doesn't even wait for a response. He just goes ahead.
How is that a what? Just a very confused Moobist.
And you are now left abandoned in a cell.
Perfect. I've got the best plan of busting out here.
Just what I wanted.
All right, question. Use for spell purposes. Nothing material, correct?
Right.
Somatic.
Your hands are
somatic.
unbound now.
So somatic, the S one.
Somatic?
Somatic.
Somatic is on
That's
the
like
table.
hand gestures.
It's on
Sure.
the table, and so is verbal, correct?
Sure.
So I could theoretically summon my spiritual weapon in my cell.
Sure.
All right. What is the bars and lock mechanism and all that kind of look like? Are we talking like iron grates and?
Yeah, they're like iron.
Okay.
The walls are stone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Dark Dwarf looking at me? Is he still checking me out?
There is a stone wall between you.
Okay, so I've got nobody looking in on me at the moment. All right, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna summon. I'll cast spiritual weapon, and I'll have the form of little Dalio shield popping up.
So is that that's verbal and somatic?
I will put it in the chat
Components?
for your approval.
Cool. All right, you're doing that as a second level.
Could I cast it higher?
So we got it.
That's what it is, but I don't think I can like cast that any higher. Yeah.
I mean, you have
it
third
only
level
gain-
spell slots.
It only gains benefit every 2
Okay.
spell levels.
So it ain't,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not even
So-
worth it. Okay.
If you cast it at 4th level, it's 2d8, etc., etc.
Got it. Okay. So level 2. And a little Dalio, a shield with a Dalio like face is created. A form of it has appeared into my cell. I'm gonna try to ram it.
Let's see.
In the room. And
I'm going to enjoy role playing later, talking with the other guy, trying to get us more privileges, being like, he'll come around when when I have no idea that he's trying to escape 0.2 seconds.
I was
after.
not given any option. I'm reasonable when I have options.
Well, in this cell, it's a pretty small area. You are a scant 25 feet from the nearest guard, so they hear you muttering incantations, and I'm gonna need you to roll initiative
All right.
as these guards are aware that you're up to something.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't click my token, can I? Can you add me on the turn order for that? Or do you want me to
Yes,
reroll?
sir.
Okay, thank you.
We could just roll.
Sweet.
All right, you get to go first.
Okay. So, considering I casted the spell, it's on your call. Basically, do I get a bonus action with my spiritual weapon and I action myself at the start of my turn or not? How are you counting the spell? Was the spell pre-initiative?
You can attack with it when you summon it, so we might as well just say it was on this turn.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna attack with the spiritual weapon against the bars of the sail to try to bust the lock.
Okie dokie.
Stuff.
Gonna bust out of here.
Um,
Guide me uptown.
give me real quick. Go ahead and roll that, and I'm gonna just look up real quick the HP and stuff.
I'm gonna break these cuffs.
I can break these cups.
Usually the AC is low on doors and locks, but HP's kind of depending on what you pick.
Looking up a lot of artificer things just to see what I can use, and I'm very amused that you can have a spellcasting focus that is just cook's tools. So it's just like a spoon, like a ladle, a whisk,
Sorry for this.
painter
guys.
supplies, just a paintbrush.
You could just make anything you want your focus then. Nice.
I mean, anything that can even broadly fall under artisan's tools. So, cartographer's tools, just like a map and a pencil, just like
All right. Got it. All right, meets it. That'll hit.
Cool.
Ours have an AC of 19. Jeez,
Yes, iron does.
that makes sense.
All right, your spiritual weapon slams into the bars. Pang! It does dent the bars a bit, but they hold.
Okay. I guess that would be my bonus action.
Yes, you still have an action.
So I'm gonna try ramming with my horns
All right, sounds
the
good.
door as well. Which I think I have to use.
You have to use strength with that.
You hit them, you deal piercing damage, 1d6 plus your strength mod. So that just seems like an athletics check.
No, it's an attack roll using your strength.
It's probably the same number, but to hit.
Yeah, I haven't got that.
I mean, unless it's
as a,
proficient.
as a macro in here.
Well, you would be proficient with your own horns, wouldn't you?
I would think so.
No, I'm saying if he's proficient with.
Oh, if he's proficient in athletics, sure.
Athletics,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not.
Insane.
I'm not.
Yeah, so.
Oh,
better to
well then
use
no,
your-
never mind. Got it. Understood.
Alright, so I don't have that as like a macro in my thingy, so I'm just gonna roll a
Okay.
d20.
Yeah.
And add appropriate.
And what's
Each one
that?
add your strength.
Probably +2.
All right.
Yeah, what's your
Holla
strength?
At your boy. My strength is 1, so that's 20,
And then plus your proficiency, which is
which is
23.
yeah, 23.
So go ahead and roll 1d6 plus 1.
So 3.
All right. You ram it with your horns, and actually manage to land the point of your horn on the bars pretty good. They dent a little bit, but they still hold.
Okay, and I'm gonna use my movement to back up into the corner of my cell.
Okay.
And then that'll be
Sounds
my
good.
turn.
All right. First up is this further away Ashen Knight. She is going to 30 feet of movement. Oh. She'll move. And she'll see you. Into the door, not quiet. She's gonna go. Shoot. And then this Ashen Knight, she's going to come to the door here. She has more than enough movement to do so. Yes. She's going to fire her crossbow at you.
You said that you mentioned that naked AC is 10 plus dex, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
you're
Yep.
gonna
So
have
15.
AC, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
She's gonna fire and miss. And that will
Fire
be her turn.
missed.
It is your turn, so
Okay.
They're just sticking crossbows through the iron bars and shooting at him.
Yep.
Stop that.
I mean, they have a very evident advantage. They do not care to sacrifice.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to use Sun Smasher again. So I'm going to do that against the bars.
Cool.
Here we go.
Misses.
Okay.
As it attempts to strike the bars, but the iron does not bend this time. It deflects off.
And then I think I will fire I think I'll just try to ram the bars and back up to where I am now. So I like go in,
Okay.
do a horn attack, and back up. So I'm gonna do another
They
one
will
of those.
both get opportunity attacks against you.
Then I'll just do a guiding bolt.
That'll hit.
On the door?
Yes, I guess so. At the door.
In a flash of light, the iron is degraded by this radiant energy, but it is still too intact for you to make your way through.
Okay.
Does the iron glow now?
Yeah. No, is it
Glowing spot.
is it a
Is it creature?
or is it-
Ah, I can't do that.
You're gonna have to look it up. Let's have a gander.
Creature of your choice.
I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, yeah, you cannot use guiding bolt.
Oh, a creature of your choice. Okay.
It is not a creature, it is an object.
Well then, hang on. We were
My bad, rewind.
Rewind.
Remix.
I guess the only thing I can do is go in for a attack. So I will move in and take the opportunity attack
Okay.
and do my
Or you
roll.
can just stay there.
That's true. They can't, but they're gonna keep firing crossbows at me.
Or something. You're certainly not happy with what you're doing.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll hold off on an action then, or I could take the. I'm gonna take the dodge action. That's what I'm gonna do. Take the dodge action.
Okay.
And that'll be me. I'm done.
Cool. Yeah, this Ashen Knight, she will Yeah, she's going to unlock the gate with her action. The other one is going to rush in on you and do 2 attacks with her longsword. Do 10 slashing damage to you.
Okay.
Is your attack.
Anubis is turning into a cold inmate. That's what he's turning into.
Oh,
He's becoming institutionalized.
he's about to.
Okay.
What does that mean? Institutionalized.
Do we not have?
It's that thing you do
Do we
with
not have-
swords. Is that not accurate?
You're thinking of stabbed. He's about to become stabbed.
That's
a-
yeah.
a little.
Now that you say it.
All right. So, can you? I would have remembered from my walk in where the guard shack was.
Sure.
It was right here. Hang on.
I will say
Until
that
this place is guarded by Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes.
I will say that the sword thrust web was left at the guard shack.
Okay, because
because
that's where I want to
They
go.
need it to be within a certain proximity. To me.
Okay.
Now the other Ashenite is blocking the door, and you cannot pass through anymore.
Can I do?
You do a shove.
I
I
don't have good athletics. It would have to be like a horn attack, which I think deals force damage. Yes, no, maybe so. Let me look.
Piercing, I believe.
No. And force damage wouldn't do it anyway.
I would need some-
Force damage doesn't force somebody somewhere else. You'd need something that specifically moves somebody, like a thunder wave or a shove.
I mean,
action.
spiritual weapon does it, so I'm gonna send the spiritual weapon.
It doesn't. It doesn't move.
Spiritual weapon. It does force damage, but force damage does not force somebody
Just force
away from
somebody
the space that
That's
they're at.
right.
You should go grapple him, man.
Again, horrible athletics.
I'm gonna lose that though. It's
Yeah, that is true.
the
Never
pot
know.
the potluck belly. Remember?
If
He
only
does
you were as strong as a minotaur.
it. If only.
If
You chose to be a priestly minotaur.
I did.
Those character choices, man.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit. A guiding bolt on the guy that is in the way of me leaving.
Okay, it will be at disadvantage because a ranged attack when someone is in melee range is a disadvantage.
This is weird that so many things are not working. It's almost like this isn't a very good place to fight. It's almost like this was maybe a bad idea, huh?
I wonder if and you could headbutt him, but like as an unarmed attack,
Mm-hmm.
Well, his horn attack does do 1d6. It's a little bit better than an unarmed.
I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you've got natural shivs, man. You got an advantage over any other prisoner.
It's true.
I wonder if they have hacksaws.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
I'm gonna use inflict wounds. I'm gonna go up to the guard.
Yeah.
That
Doesn't
is.
require material, huh?
It does not. It is. I will put it in the chat. It is touch and words. So I'm gonna go to the one that's at the door. Presumably not taking an opportunity attack because I'm just shifting around that one guy. Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
And I'm going to do that at a high level. I'm going to do it at level 2.
All right, that's an attack roll, I reckon. That'll hit.
Ooh.
All right. Do you want to actually move your character, or do you just want to say?
I was in my sheet. I was doing things for convenience. All right, I'll get there. You've played with me long enough. You know everything's about convenience with me in D&D. It's got to be convenient.
It's your stream, man.
Yeah, go ahead and roll damage. That hits.
I'm gonna go in for level 3.
You said second.
Can't decide
Not a
afterwards.
second. Okay.
You can't
okay.
decide after
Okay.
you've seen
Okay.
the roll.
You're right. You're right.
Wow.
All right.
All right.
She takes 22 necrotic damage.
There's
It's
more.
Plus 9
It's-
as well.
Yep. 31.
She takes 31 necrotic damage as this black energy courses through her body in this maze-like pattern. But she still stands.
Is she like winded at all, or how's she look after that?
31
I mean,
damage would win
She's
most
like,
people.
she's like, I don't like this.
Tougher than I anticipated.
Doesn't feel very good. Yeah, she doesn't like it.
Okay.
She's bloodied
And then
in Pathfinder terms.
spiritual weapon will go at her as well.
Also 4th edition.
Okay.
And then I will end my turn after that. So 1 second.
That'll hit.
Wow.
This man can't roll below a 20. It's impossible.
It's the spirit of Dalio. You can't
She'll
cage
take
this
11
lion.
force damage and go, 2 in 1 turn. My gosh, but she still stands.
Man.
42 damage in 1 turn is pretty good.
It's a lot of damage for sure. For a fellow
The
without
damage,
a spell casting focus.
unlike
Alright.
anything we've seen since you had smites.
Oh,
She's gonna
I missed
do
that, too.
2 longsword attacks against you.
oof.
Hit both of them. So you take 10 slashing damage.
Woof.
The other one is also going to take 2 longsword attacks against you. And do an additional 13 slashing damage.
Okay.
As they just beat you with swords.
This prison is sucking all the hope out of me. You know?
You know? Prisons, man. They're not supposed to be fun.
Nope, they are not.
Greg knows the best thing to do in a prison, and that is
Mess with the guards. What's
violently
what I'm
attack your
doing?
bar and then assault the guards.
That's what I would do if I was a prisoner.
Immediately.
You mess with the guards. What else is there to do?
He's like,
I
if
can
more,
see.
if more prisoners knew to do this,
This one weird trick that prison
everyone
guards
would
don't
just
want you to
escape
know.
all the time. It's your turn.
It gets people off the
Prison guards hate him.
It's off a rocker. It gets them, you know. Alright, spiritual weapon against the one at the door.
Yes. As you bring your spiritual weapon down, she raises her shield up and king clinks off of her armor.
Gonna cast this.
Vampiric touch. You go to vampirically touch you, but she's like, this guy touched me before and it really didn't feel very good. So she twists out of the way, and you manage to grab some of her boob armor, and it gets you so embarrassed that you pull back
Sorry.
Oh,
Without
1,000
vampire
apologies.
at all.
I only meant to kill you. I didn't mean to. I would never.
Great. Now I got this allegation against me. Oh, it's a rough time
I
here
would
in prison.
never do that thing. I would only do the.
I would
other
try to
thing.
murder you.
She is like, ah, and then she's gonna make 2 longsword attacks against you, dealing 5 slashing damage.
Mm.
Her friend is then gonna do 2 longsword attacks against you.
I can see the trend of where this is going.
And do 5 more slashing damage.
He's at 1 HP.
What a familiar place to be.
Well.
Let's check the new channel here.
Going out with a bang.
Congrats. Congrats, new channel.
Is there much you can do here?
We'll get there, lads. Don't worry.
If you just think about it long enough, you'll find the perfect spell, man. It's gonna get you out of this.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot that clerics have the escape prison spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
It was
is
hiding
that?
at the bottom of my sheet.
No.
What is there an actual spell that they have? Like where they can recall to
Oh,
temple
yeah. I know
from
the one
any
you're talking
plane?
about, but
like it's a really good spell.
yeah, you just teleport to one fixed location of your god from anywhere.
I don't remember. Recall maybe?
Word of recall.
There's no real way out of this,
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah.
6th level spell.
It's a pretty good spell.
May have to talk your
Well,
way out of it.
we know they're not gonna kill you, which is good.
That's true.
You can just keep attempting this.
Alright, so spiritual weapon.
Every long rest.
That's right. Spiritual weapon, the guard at the door.
Back to go.
He just keeps waking up and fighting, and every time. We need a macro that can just automate like 300.
That'll hit.
Oh,
Let me see where I'm tracking your image.
He's
Is that 6?
he's panting, yeah. I could do this all day.
She gets whacked by the spiritual weapon. Goes back on 1 foot and then bam, digs back in.
I'm not using this. I just wanted to
Okay.
read it.
Okay.
Yes.
And that is nice that you can use it twice
Yeah.
now. That's a lovely little effect.
Hmm. To heal or to go out swinging? I'm gonna go out swinging. Vampiric touch again on the guard at the door. No.
Relax. She's not about being touched right now.
No touchy. All right. And then Anubis is just
Just opens his arms, accepting his fate.
Ave Maria.
She shall do
Oh, very
twice
nice.
the long sword attack.
Ting, ting. I
Her
got her.
friend
I got her
shall
plus
do twice the long sword attack.
2. Yeah.
Yeah. All
That's
right.
it.
Oh. Upon you going down and your spiritual weapon disappearing because you're down, she shall stay her blade, and unbeknownst to you, they shall, upon risk of death themselves, revive you. You know what? Let's just have fun. Let's have them do medicine checks.
Use it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
You're like,
they
oh
can't
God,
spare
what do
the
we do?
dying, surely.
Is that wisdom or intelligence? I always forget.
I believe it is actually wisdom. I just had this weird.
Wake
I thought it was
up.
intelligence. My own.
Wake
Alright.
up, choose violence. The best
All right,
chat
I'll say
in
the
our chat
second one
today.
succeeds at saving your life. And some amount of hours later, you awake in your cell, bound and gagged, where you once could roam free. You are now tied very firmly to your bed with a muzzle on because they're just that offensive. We're gonna swap over to Karos, and that's where we're gonna end our campaign for tonight. I don't want to keep everybody up all night. Karos is led with Malvagil to his glorious laboratory,
Nice.
filled with
Love a lab.
arcane things. He has a globe that doesn't just show the outlay of the Earth, but it shows layers of the Earth. I can't explain how, but it does. And strange creatures. He has files of things, so many books, typical wizard stuff. Who knows? And he leads you into his lab and turns to you and says, "I think there's so much we can teach each other." That's where we'll end.
Very pleased to get started.
All right, guys. That's it
Man.
for tonight.
Woo.
We're gonna have to wait till next week.
Nice.
Man. We've all gone our separate ways.
The band's just broken up. This is
I
sad.
know.
Split the party.
Three separate stories that must all converge.
Advanced level DMing here, folks.
What shall happen? Yeah, I'm sorry for you guys who, if anyone wasn't playing and was just watching. I know splitting the party's tough, but we'll get there.
I had fun
It was
watching.
a consequence of our choices, and we shall return to it soonly.
Moose is doing
That's how
some
this
hard
works.
time.
No,
That's
I
right.
enjoyed
Bibba's doing
every
hard
moment
time.
of it.
Sweet. I mean, I figured it'd be alright.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting to chat with a wizard guy too.
That has
I
been.
I feel like I can start to make some real progress.
That's right. That has been session 25 of the Unbeaten Path, the campaign that has taken a break and now come back swinging in a great
1/4 of the way done.
a great entry back into this campaign tonight. Thank you, PS Zombie. That was excellent. Thank you, players, as well. Always bringing in the quality storytelling and nuances that come with a good D&D campaign. So thank you for that. We will be doing this same campaign next Monday night, so you don't want to miss it. What's going to happen to Amubis as he's doing more hard time? Is Alibaba going to make his way into the scene? Is the lab experiments going to go wrong with Karas? Who knows? So find out next week. We will also be planning our one-shot campaign that we will be running congruently with this campaign in the coming weeks, and we'll be planning that on Sunday. So be watching our social media, specifically our Instagram and our Facebook, because I'll be dropping hints of what we're going to be doing this week, and then we'll be announcing our one-shot campaign for February next week. So you're going to be wanting to watch the social medias for that. So, all right, this has been POTASU. This has been Monday Night Dungeons and Dragons with the Unbeaten Path. I hope everybody has a good night. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, Chad.
Bye.
Bye, Chad.